From the heartland of America to every nation on earth, this is Jack Van Impe Presents The Truth in News and Commentary. Here now are Doctors Jack and Rexella Van Impe.
Hello and welcome to Jack Van Impe Presents. Again, friends, I'm absolutely amazed at how things are developing around the world right now. And this first one boggles my mind again, the world's newest, most radical state. We're going to talk about them. And of course, that is ISIS, talking about how they are challenging all the other members of the Muslim faith. Then again, Al-Qaeda calls for car bomb attacks on American cities. And one last one here, Islamic video. We will fly the Islamic flag over the White House. I cannot imagine. I've been to Washington, D.C. so many times, and I just can't imagine that flag coming down and their flag going up. Can you? Before we get into all this seriousness, though, Jack, just a moment ago, was refreshing my memory as to some of the things that happened to us when we had crusades and maybe 10,000 people would be out there. And, Jack, you told a lot of stories about some of our things that happened during that time.
We're going to start this, Rexella, because we had 800 church crusades, 220 mass citywide crusades like Billy Graham, 10 million attendance, and 2,500,000 have been saved during these years. But originally I came out of a nightclub background, and my father was converted, and then we got rid of the booze, and that was a new life for us. If any man be in Christ, he's a new creation. Old things are passed away. Behold, all things have become new, 2 Corinthians 5:17. But anyway, this pastor who was heading up this big crusade thought he'd have a little fun. And he said, Dr. Van Impe, is it true when you were just a young man, you played accordion in the nightclubs with your father? I said, yes. And he said, as he looked at Rexella, and were you in the chorus line? And she's the most naive woman you will ever have met. No. She got up and said, oh, you're just pulling my leg.
Oh, dear.
She brought the house down, I'll tell you. We're going to tell you some great stories in the next few weeks. We're always going to start one with something that happened in our crusades. I've wanted to do that for a long time.
Well, I was very naive, Jack. I didn't know what in the world, those things are all about.
Oh, I got even a better one for next week.
Oh, dear. Let's get into some of these headlines, friends. And this first one, terrorism. And I'm not sorry to use the word if it's justified. If it's terrorism, it's terrorism. Terrorism is expanding around the world. And the terror group ISIS is now saying to other jihadists, we are over all the others. You better join us, or else they'll kill each other. Take a look, the world's newest, most radical state. An Islamist group just declared itself a caliphate and challenged the rest of the Muslim world to join or be considered an enemy. Either you join ISIS or you're our enemy. Europe's new jihadists. There you see them. They're out there and they're saying, we demand that you join us. British jihadist threatens beheadings in Trafalgar Square. Jack and I have been in Great Britain so many times, downtown London, that beautiful square, and they're saying, we are going to actually behead right here the citizens of the UK in this square.
And they just did it.
Yes, absolutely. Dutch pro-ISIS rally features death to the Jews chants. Oh, my. Now, you notice all these different countries, friends. There's the British and the Dutch, and I'm French. French official, 1,000 French jihadists getting ready. Oh, my. And here's Syrian extremists threaten to destroy Canada. Now, this is from the National Post. That's the most extreme faction in Syria.
And that's probably around Alberta. That's the big Muslim settlement.
All right. Al-Qaeda calls for car bomb attacks on American cities. And then American jihadists in Syria. Entire world will be Muslim. They have a goal. We're going to take over. I just cannot believe that this could happen. And then, it really burdens my heart that they would go on and say that they were going to take over not only the White House, but they're going to put up the flag there, Jack. Is it going to happen?
Yes. I don't know how soon, but it's coming. And this didn't start recently. That started with Khomeini, who was deposed and booted out of Iran because of his troublemaking. And then he came back in the early 70s, deposed the Shah, got rid of him, and said, we are going to set up the new world order. We are going to be the leaders of a one world government and one world religion. Since then, there's a Khomeini with an A. The other was with an O. And he said, we don't care how many millions of Iranians die through an atomic war, as long as we can set up our flag in the United States of America and control the world. Then Kabani, who is the head man here in this particular nation, said, we're going to take over the world. And he said, and to create one world religion. And this is where I really oppose what some of the Muslims are saying and doing. For he went on to say, and our prophet Jesus will be the executioner of all Jews and Christians who won't convert. What a blasphemous lie. Can you imagine Jesus coming back and saying to the people, hey, I am now a Muslim. That's what they teach. I've been converted. I'm here for Allah as an evangelist. And it's either convert or die. Convert or the sword. That's not my kind of Jesus.
Oh, no.
No. But I'll tell you what it's all about. This Abu Baghdadi said, I want to become the caliph, the leader of all the Muslims of the world. It's not going to work, but he's going to try. And he's going to kill everyone who gets in his way, even his Muslim brothers in that faith. And the Bible predicts this is all coming. There shall be wars and rumors of wars. Nation shall rise against nation. Here it is, kingdom against kingdom, Shiites against Sunnis, etc. And then in Mark 13, verses 7 8, the same thing is said. Wars and rumors of wars. Nation against nation. Kingdom against kingdom. These same people killing one another in all these different groups. Hamas and Hezbollah. Fatah, there's no end to it. There are 47 different groups, as I said last week. Well, it's going to lead to something called Armageddon. And that's Revelation 16:16. And I said this last week, and I'm going to repeat it. Because God has put in my heart, after 8 hours of meditation, 2 hours every morning for 4 mornings in a row, the entire plan from this Holy Bible of what's coming soon to the Islamic world and all the world, and it's going to be a bloody, bloody thing. Now, we have the Battle of Armageddon described in Revelation 9, verses 14 to 18. I said this last week, and I'm going to repeat it for a number of weeks. Why? Because I can now show you from the Bible, and I'm going to go back in the next few weeks, hundreds of years, and you're going to find out that all these names of all these cities in the Old Testament and tied in with Islam points at this moment to the coming of Christ. Now, get this. As this battle is described in Revelation 9, 14 to 18, the first thing it says is, loose the 4 angels. These are the fallen angels of Satan, Matthew 25, verse 41. Where are they loosed? Euphrates River. And why? To slay a third part of mankind. And the number of the army was 200,000, 200 million. You ever hear anything like it? It can happen easily now. And by these 3 was the third part of men killed. Fire, blood, smoke. Now get this. This guy has started this new movement. He called it ISIS. And now he's just dropped it to the Islamic State of Iraq and Syria. Where do these demonic spirits come out of? The Euphrates River. Where is that? Iraq. And up to Syria. And over to southern Turkey. It's near. And Jesus comes to call us home before it happens. Revelation 4:1, come up hither. We're gone. The twinkling of an eye. We're spared. But then Christ comes back to set up his kingdom, and the first thing he does is puts a stop to it. All those who are killing one another, murdering one another. And I think that's going to have a lot to do with Islam. And he does it because they are slaughtering everybody, and he puts a stop to it. And he sets up his glorious kingdom of peaceful 1,000 years. Revelation 20, verse 4. And as he comes with us. And he's going to have that kingdom here on earth forever and forever. And we're going to live in that holy city of Revelation 21, 22. Man, it's going to be a wonderful time. But we have to go through some suffering in the world first.
Jack, you've given us quite a perspective here of everything that's happening around the world right now, Well, Jack was in the ministry before I ever met him, and the first time that I heard him speak, I was amazed at what he was speaking about. He was speaking about the Battle of Armageddon and how he put it all together with the different countries. And I want to show you something on the screen right now, because this is all about leading to the Battle of Armageddon. Jack, you mentioned Bishop Lavey, and would you like to read this, please?
My first sermon 60 years ago, and I lost the article, and you just found it again.
Yeah, I did.
Now, ladies and gentlemen, remember, this is 1713, over 300 years, and he says it exactly as I'm preaching it today, and as I've preached it for over 60 years. Ezekiel's prophecy, without question, relates to the latter ages of the world when Israel shall return to their own land. 1948. Rosh signifies those inhabitants of Scythia from whence the Russians derive their name. This formidable invasion of the land of Israel, God will defeat. The Persians, get it, Iran, Iraq, and Afghanistan from the east, the Ethiopians from the south, and the Moors, Libyans from the west, shall join with Rosh in this invasion. Ladies and gentlemen, that's this book. And we're now at that hour, 1713. Now, 2014. First of all, Rosh. That's Ezekiel 38 and 39. Gog, Magog, Meshech, Tubal, all cities in Rosh, or which is Russia in Greek, or Russia in English. It's the war of the latter years and the latter days. And joining with him on the second wave, for there'll be three major invasions, will be the Oriental hordes, Revelation 16:12. And they come down from the east and join with the north, Daniel 11:44. And what a battle it becomes. That's the one described in Revelation 9:14, 18, where the four demons are released out of the Euphrates River. That's what this guy is now creating. That's how near it is. Now listen carefully. What's next? There's an Arab Federation that joins with him, just like this man said in 1713. And first of all, we have Egypt, Daniel 11:40, Syria, Isaiah 17:1, Persia, which is Iran and Iraq, Ezekiel 38:5, and then there in the Hebrew we have Cush and Put, and that takes in Yemen and Ethiopia and Lebanon, and then we have the parts of the world there, Tripoli and these nations. And finally, in Psalm 83, verses 5 to 7, we have Amman, Jordan, Jebel, again Lebanon, and all the rest of the Muslim nations through Hagar, and they are the Hagarenes. It's exactly what they preached, and we're seeing it. Even the final move right now with this guy who wants to be the head man, it's not going to work because he's going against all the other groups. He is the right one. They're all wrong. But I want you to get something what Rexella showed you a while ago. What that army is not just regular Muslims from the Shiites and the Sunnis and all these groups we know. These are people from the European Union, from all these nations. 3,000 Americans have left us to go and train for this suicide bombing effort and come back to get us, turncoats. 500 are there from England, 500 from Canada. They're there from France and Germany and Belgium and Denmark, and they're all there. And they're all going to go back after they've learned how to be suited.